di tutto il mondo. Io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Di tutto il mondo io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Il cuore è come penna in mano tua, il cuore è come penna in mano tua, da te la gioia mia, da te la mia pena, da te la mia pena. Di tutto il mondo io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Che voglio io se non quel che tu vuoi? Che voglio io se non quel che tu vuoi? Che vedo io se non quel che tu mostri? Se non quel che tu mostri. Di tutto il mondo io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Se tu colà mi tieni, ora io sono. Se tu colà mi tieni, ora io sono. Se tu qui mi vuoi, qui io rimango, qui io rimango. Di tutto il mondo io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Nella tinozza in cui i colori cuori, nella tinozza in cui i colori cuori, chi sono io, qual è il mio amore, qual è il mio odio, qual è il mio odio? Di tutto il mondo io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Ora rosa, tu cresci in me, ora spina. Ora rosa, tu cresci in me, ora spina. ora sento di rosa, ora colgo spine, ora colgo spine di tutto il mondo. Io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Tu fosti il primo e l'ultimo sarai. Tu fosti il primo e l'ultimo sarai. Fa tu l'ultimo mio, meglio del mio primo, meglio del mio primo, di tutto il mondo. Io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Quando tu ti nascondi nulla credo. Quando tu ti nascondi in nulla credo. Quando tu ti manifesti, io son credente, io sono credente di tutto il mondo. Io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste di tutto il mondo. Io scelgo te soltanto, non permetterai che io rimanga triste. Out of the whole world I choose you only, you will not allow that I remain sad. The heart is like a pen in your hands. From you, my joy, from you, my pain. What do I want, if not what you want? What do I see, if not what you show? If you keep me there, I stay there. If you want me here, then I stay here. In the basin in which you color the hearts, who am I? Which is my love? Which is my hate? Now a rose you grow in me, now a thorn. Now I feel like a rose. Now I pick up thorns. You are the first one, and the last you will be. You make my last better than my first. When you hide yourself, I don't believe in anything. When you become manifested, then I am a believer. So this is the song by Maulana Rumi, which we are going to consider this evening for Satsang. It is a very beautiful song to which I applied this melody. I don't even know where I got it from. It's one of my favorite songs, both for the melody and for the meaning. Making these melodies, it was natural to me. I began making melodies when I first read the Life of Baba Jaima Singh, written by by Master Kirpal, the life story of a soldier saint, so called. And in that book there are some poems written by Baba Sawan Singh to Baba Jaima Singh in Punjabi, and they are just written in Punjabi, then of course translated. So that's how I began making melodies. I would read these songs and a melody would come naturally to me in Punjabi. So gradually all this material has developed in the years. And so this song by Maulana Rumi is very dear to me, means a lot to me, because it's very meaningful. It says, "Out of the whole world I choose you only. You will not allow that I remain sad. So this implies that if we choose Him only, means completely, then is when we get the true happiness. Nothing in this world is going to make us happy in a permanent way. In life, Sant used to say very often, Dukh and Sukh just run after each other. Means joys and sorrows, they just follow each other. What now is a joy, then months pass, years pass, and it becomes a sorrow, becomes pain. Or we don't like it anymore. Because the mind has also this nature of getting tired of everything. What becomes exciting today, tomorrow will be less exciting. In a month, not so much. In a year, becomes boring. So we keep running after new and new things. We want to change everything. In our house, we want to change everything. Clothes, car. We buy a car that's very beautiful, maybe, very expensive. We like it so much. But then next year we don't like it anymore as much. And in a few years we would like to change it. Because there is another model which we like more. But then there also, after some time, we don't like. So human beings have always been after a permanent joy, which does not depend on other factors, but comes from within ourselves. This is the eternal quest of we human beings. Finding a permanent joy that doesn't become boring after some time. So this is not something from this world. It's not something material. And it's not even something mental. It is spiritual. It is the divine light within us, the divine presence that when we feel it, we find the joy without any reason, any other reason. When we don't feel it, then we are miserable without any reason. So this is the eternal quest of we human beings, finding the permanent joy. Some masters call it the center of permanent gravity, towards which we naturally tend. So it is him only, says here Rumi, that will give us this permanent joy, that will make us happy. And this divine presence is never really boring. It's always so pleasing when we get it. When it comes, we never say, oh, it's just the same. No, we like it always. It's so blissful. It's so intoxicating. And that's when we feel really alive, when we have this divine presence within us. Otherwise, as I said, nothing is going to give us real joy. So if we are sincere in our quest and in our practice, from time to time, from beyond the veil, this divine presence manifests. Then we feel fulfilled, we feel joyful, we feel blissful, and we feel kind of enlightened. Our mind, our body, everything participates in this. All of our being. Nothing becomes indifferent or stays indifferent. Some mornings ago I had a very beautiful meditation, and I understood that when we don't have this divine presence within us, it's like a dry river in which, all the garbage comes up, all the rocks, all the bushes, all the rubbish, debris becomes evident. And when this divine presence comes, then it's like when the water begins to flow again, and it covers all of these, and it becomes just a constant flow of water which goes towards the ocean. So that's life. Without this, there is no real life. With God, life is beautiful. Without God, life is bad. Then he says the heart is like a pen in your hand. From you my joy, from you my pain. But there are very few people who say this. Only the real devotees say from you is my joy, from you is my pain. Because other people, they look for joys and pains from somewhere else, not from him. People tend to be smart when they don't believe in any God, when they don't believe in anything beyond this purely physical plane. They think they are modern, they are scientific. but they are so dry. They're so miserable, actually. When I talk with somebody who has this kind of mentality, then I feel there is missing the very fundamental side of life in that person. It's like saying, this earth, it's all there is. And denying that there is this very immense sky above us with all the solar systems, galaxies, and universe. Those that don't believe in God, they are like these people who say the earth is the only thing there is. They don't even see the moon, which is so near. They don't consider the sun. They don't look up at the sky at night. How can we say there is only this physical plane, this physical reality? The void is much more than the full. And the void is much more powerful than the material. The material is like a tiny spark in the immense void. Even all these planets, these galaxies, comparing to the void, they're just nothing. The void is so much more. So this is, as Rumi calls it, the immensity of beyond space. To which we have to move. Towards which we have to go. Then he shows a complete surrender. He says, what do I want? If not what you want? What do I see if not what you show? So here he's telling us that we should surrender to this God and be patient. Sometimes we become restless. My meditation is not working, I don't see anything, I don't experience anything. It's a dry period. It's okay, it's part of the practice. It's part of the growth. With God there is this hide and seek. Sometimes He shows Himself, He manifests Himself, then we are blissful, we are so high with our spirit. Then He withdraws. Then we have to look for Him. We have to wait for Him. We don't have to deny Him. We don't have to forget Him. We have to patiently wait. Keep doing our practice and wait that He manifests again. What do I want if not what you want? It's complete surrender. I don't want anything that you don't want. And I'm happy with anything you give. And what do I see? I see what you show. It's not in my power to see anything if you don't show anything. But this doesn't mean that we don't have to do anything. It is our sincere call, our longing, praying and wanting, yearning for God, that then attracts Him again into our life. So if you think that you will come into a state in which this hide and seek will end, then you're wrong, I'm sorry. This goes on the whole life. Some periods is less, some periods is more. But we can come into that state of complete surrender in which we are happy with anything that comes. And even when something unpleasant happens, we right away recognize it as a lesson from which we have to learn something. And this learning process goes on all through life. Because like everything, this is also immense. It's endless. So we must be happy with what comes, with what happens, what we are given. And at the same time, we must never forget Him. Always long for Him and yearn for Him. That's the dynamic of the spiritual life, of the spiritual practice. In the basin in which you color the hearts, who am I? What is my love? What is my hate? Rumi has always this very beautiful way of putting verses. So when you decide to color me in the color of Nam, you do it despite of myself. It doesn't matter who I am, my hate, my love, my being small, my being great. If you decide to color me in your color, then you do it. And whenever God decides to dye us in His color, it's never because we are anything special. It's never because we have done anything special. It's His pure choice, His pure decision. St. Francis of Assisi used to say, your waves chooses the worst ones. So it's not because we are anything good that He chooses us. In my case, if I've been chosen for something, it's really not because it was anything special. It was His pure grace. And sometimes God likes to transform a miserable person into a great being, to show that it is possible for everybody. It's not just for the great people. Very often the great people stay small. Those who are understood to be great people in this world, they reach that kind of fame and name in this world. But they don't achieve anything very special, spiritually speaking. Sometimes people who are nobody, they are chosen to perform a great work for God. And people who are great people, famous, they don't get this grace. They are not chosen for this. So you don't need to be graduated into anything to be a chosen one of God. Master Kirpal used to say, where did Buddha, in which university did Buddha study? Or Guru Nanak, or Jesus Christ, or St. Francis, or Maulana Rumi. Maybe Maulana Rumi was a jurist, he was a learned something in his field. But means you don't need to be graduated into anything to be chosen by God for doing His work. Because this is no wisdom that comes from the intellect, from learning intellectually. It is a wisdom that comes because you are taken so high above this world. You see everything so very clearly. So those very great people who are worshipped and loved for centuries and millennia, they were not maybe intellectually very learned. They became spiritually very high. They saw reality because they were taken so much above this world, so much above this reality. They took this flight into the spiritual realms, and they understood how this whole universe, this whole creation works. So this is a wisdom, a knowledge that comes from inside, not from outside. Now a rose you grow in me, now a thorn. Now I pick up thorns. Now I am a rose. He says in the next verse. So, are we to be blamed because of what we are? I wouldn't say really so. We are what we are. We can't help. We have been made like this. We don't have to feel bad because of this. It doesn't mean that we don't have to improve ourselves, wanting to be better. This we have to try all through life. But we are made into what we are by God Himself. We are meant to be like this. This world is like a platform on which many actors come to perform. And we are given a role. So we have to perform this role, whether we like it or not. So in this role, if you are asked to be a rose, you will be a rose. If you are asked to be a thorn, you will have to be a thorn. Of course, better to be a rose, because the rose gives out fragrance, is beautiful, than to be a thorn, which is, pinching and painful, ugly to see. But sometimes we are roses, sometimes we are thorns. It's the play of duality in this life. We can't help. So we have to be patient with ourselves. We try our best to improve, but we have our limits, which come from several factors, too many to mention. But when we are thorns, we should pray that, please make me a rose. Don't leave me a thorn. Let it pass and become a rose again. It's very nice, as he says, to feel like a rose. It's not as nice to feel a thorn, to be a thorn. Again, it's the play of life. When we feel like a thorn, we have to be patient, pray, meditate, maybe even more, and try to turn into a rose once again. It's so beautiful to be a rose. A rose gives out fragrance, and the beauty of it enchanting the heart. So when we are a rose, we are also radiating beauty, and people notice that this person is a beautiful person. And it's nice to see beautiful people, even people who are insensible for anything special. They appreciate when there is a good person, good-hearted person. You were the first one and you'll be the last. Make my first better than my last. So the first love stays forever. We never forget it. So we should make God as our first and last love. Our complete love, our main love. Because it deserves to be such. It is the most precious thing in the experience of life. It is the most wonderful something that we might experience. So we should put him in the first place, in the middle place, in the last place, everywhere. And do our best to come into union with him as much as possible. In this way, if we go through life like this, when we come at the end of our life, we won't be the same as we were in the beginning. We will be something different. He says, make my last better than my first. Means I came in this world in a certain way. But let it be that when I come at the end of my life, I won't be the same as what I was in the beginning. That I've been growing, becoming better. So let my spiritual practice, my quest for truth, bring fruit. Be effective. Work on me, change me, transform me. And by the end of my life, let me be a holy man, not a stupid man. Let me be full of wisdom. Let me see reality as it is. Let me perceive truth in everything. Master Kripal used to say, Rome was not built in a day. It takes time. It was very often quotation from him. I don't know where he got it. This Rome. Just Rome. Takes time, he used to say. By and by. But we people grow, we improve. He used to say. He said, when I went to school in the beginning, I didn't know anything. So I looked at my teacher, talking and talking and talking. For hours he was talking, and I thought, where does he get all these informations from? So I began learning and learning. And now I came to a point, he used to say, in which every word I say becomes a book. So many is in the making, he used to say. By and by we get transformed. And by the way, at the end of our life, if we work on it, we will be a different somebody than what we were in the beginning. Maybe full of wisdom. That really every word we say is so precious that it becomes a book. Then he ends this very beautiful song by saying, when you hide yourself, I don't believe in anything. He's very crude sometimes in his expressions. Because we are meant to be believers, no? But he says, when you manifest, I am a believer. When you hide yourself, I don't believe in anything. And we go through life in this way, being believers and unbelievers. When we have his perception and he's present, then it's not believing. We know. We are fully aware of his reality. But when he hides, then all our faith, all of our wisdom, all of our seeing becomes dark. And eventually we say, but where are you? This is a continuous fight between believing and disbelieving. I know we all go through. But thanks God that sometimes he hides, sometimes he manifests. Then we become believers again. But it's very important the way he puts it, because we are not just believers because we are told to be believers, because we are imposed to be believers, or because we are dogmatic. We become believers when we see him. It's the experience that we have that makes us true believers. It's not an intellectual something. It's not a religious something. I am Christian, I am Muslim, I am Buddhist, I am Hindu, Sikh, because I'm born such. No, I am a believer because I see him. This is the difference between a spiritual man and a religious man. The religious man believes just out of dogmatic belief. The spiritual man believes only when he sees with his own eyes.